What if I told you that the cleanest homes in the world belong to people who never once spend a Saturday cleaning? Not because they have help, not because they live in tiny spaces with nothing in them, but because somewhere along the way, Japan figured out something the rest of the world never did, that a permanently clean home isn't built in hours. It's built in minutes. 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there, 90 seconds before bed. Small, scattered pockets of time so brief you'd barely call them cleaning at all. And yet, stacked together, day after day, they make the exhausting deep clean completely, permanently unnecessary. Walk into a Japanese home on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. No guests coming, no special occasion, just a regular weekday. And it's clean. Not, I tidied up because you were coming. Clean. Just quietly, effortlessly, permanently clean. The counters are clear. The sink shines. The floors are spotless. The bathroom doesn't smell, and the person who lives there did not sacrifice their weekend to make it that way. They almost certainly spent less total time cleaning this week than you did. And somewhere else in the world right now, someone is standing in their kitchen on a Saturday morning, coffee going cold in their hand, looking at a week's worth of accumulated life dishes in the sink, counters buried, a floor that hasn't been properly cleaned in longer than they'd like to admit. They feel that heavy, familiar mix of guilt and dread before they've even started. They'll lose 4 hours today. It'll look good until Tuesday. And then the whole miserable cycle begins again, as it always does, forever. Here's what almost nobody realizes. The difference between these two people has nothing to do with effort. It isn't discipline or free time or natural tidiness. It's that one of them is fighting a war they can never win, cleaning up after a mess that's already built, while the other is spending 5 minutes a day making sure that mess never gets the chance to form at all. Today I'm going to give you those 5-minute habits exactly in the order they happen in a real day. Not vague advice, the actual routines, what to do, when to do it, and precisely how long each one takes. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete system that costs you less than 15 minutes a day, and you'll understand why those 15 minutes permanently eliminate the 4-hour Saturday. Stay with me until the 4th habit, because that one takes 90 seconds. Almost nobody outside Japan does it, and it's the single reason Japanese kitchens don't smell. But it only makes sense once you understand the 3 that come before it. So let's build the day properly, starting from the moment you get out of bed. Why 5 minutes beats 5 hours? Before we get to the habits themselves, you need to understand the one idea underneath all of them, because it's the reason this works when everything else you've tried has failed. Most of us treat cleaning as a correction. We let the mess build all week, and then at some point, usually when it becomes unbearable, we launch a massive effort to correct it. Cleaning is the response to a problem that already exists. And this model, however hard you work at it, is guaranteed to fail for a simple reason. It's reactive. You're always waiting for the mess to arrive before you deal with it. So the mess always arrives, and the big cleaning session always comes. Forever. Japan runs on the opposite principle, prevention. And there's a name for the philosophy underneath it, kaizen, which means continuous improvement through small, almost invisible steps. Not the heroic effort, the tiny, constant daily adjustment. Toyota built a global empire on this idea, but long before any factory existed, Japanese homes were being kept this way. Here's the mechanism, and it's the whole thing. Mess has a property that almost nobody thinks about. It gets exponentially harder to clean the longer it sits. A splash of grease wiped in 10 seconds becomes, after a week, a hardened baked-on stain that takes 30 minutes to scrub. A rinsed cup takes 15 seconds. The same cup left 3 days becomes a crusted dish requiring soaking. A wiped counter takes 2 minutes. A week of accumulation takes an hour. Now flip that around. If you handle every mess at the exact moment it appears, when it is still soft, still fresh, still a 10-second problem, it never gets to become a 30-minute problem. The 4-hour Saturday exists only because 110-second tasks were postponed until they hardened into one enormous one. Remove the postponement, and the Saturday simply vanishes. There's nothing left for it to do. That's why 5 minutes beats 5 hours. You're not cleaning less thoroughly. You're cleaning at the moment when cleaning is nearly free, and refusing to pay the enormous compound interest that postponement charges. So here are the habits, in the order a real day unfolds. Every single one is under 5 minutes. Together, they add up to a home that stays clean forever. Habit 1. The morning reset. 5 minutes, the day begins. And so does the system. In Japan, there's a form of light, quick, rhythmic daily cleaning sometimes called soji, a practice that traces back to Zen Buddhist temples, where monks cleaned their spaces each morning, not as a chore, but as a way of greeting the day. The modern household version takes about 5 minutes, and it happens before you leave the house. Here's exactly what it is. Make your bed, 60 seconds. The moment you're out of it, not after coffee, not after your phone, immediately. This one act transforms the entire visual state of your bedroom for the price of a single minute. And it does something to your mind too. It's the day's first completed task, a small signal that order has been established. Open a window, 5 minutes, 0 effort. Do it while you get dressed. You're not doing anything while it's open. The house airs itself out while you go about your morning. Stale overnight air leaves, fresh air enters, and the home stops feeling heavy. In Japan, this is treated as a daily non-negotiable, and it costs you nothing but the act of opening a latch. Wipe the kitchen counter and stovetop, 2 minutes, before breakfast. A damp cloth, a quick pass over the counter and the stovetop. Here's why this specific 2 minutes matters so much. Last night's cooking residue, the faint film of grease, the crumbs, the splash, has had all night to sit, but it hasn't yet hardened. Right now, it lifts off with almost no pressure. Leave it another 24 hours, cook on top of it again, and it bakes on. 2 minutes now prevents 30 minutes later. Swipe the bathroom sink, 60 seconds. After you brush your teeth, take a small cloth and wipe the basin, the faucet, the counter. The toothpaste flecks and water splashes are still wet. They come off with a single pass. Let them dry day after day, and you get the crusted mineral buildup that eventually requires chemicals and scrubbing. That's the morning reset. Under 5 minutes of active work, spread across things you're already doing anyway. And here's what it actually buys you. Your home returns to 0 every single morning. Think about that phrasing carefully. 0, baseline, clean, which means the distance between my house right now and my house spotless is never allowed to grow larger than a single day's mess. It can never drift into deep clean territory, because the gap the deep clean exists to close is never permitted to open in the first place. And there's a gift in it. Beyond the cleanliness, you walk out the door into a home that's already handled, and when you come home tired that evening, the first thing you see isn't a list of undone tasks. It's a space that's quietly on your side. Habit 2. The 2-minute rule. All day long, this isn't a scheduled routine. It's a rule that runs quietly in the background of your entire day, and it may be the single most powerful habit on this list. The rule: if a task takes 2 minutes or less, you do it the moment you notice it. Not later, not on a mental list, not when I get around to it. Right now. You finish a cup of coffee, instead of setting it on the counter to deal with later, you rinse it. 30 seconds. Done. You notice a splash of water by the stove while you're waiting for the kettle. You wipe it. 15 seconds. You take off your jacket. It goes on the hook, not the chair. 5 seconds. You see a crumb on the counter, a receipt on the table, a pair of shoes in the walkway. Each one handled the instant your eye lands on it. None of this feels like cleaning. That is precisely the point. It's too small to dread, too quick to postpone, too minor to trigger the resistance that a cleaning session always summons. Now look at what it prevents. Every single one of those tiny actions is standing guard against a much larger future task. The cup you didn't rinse becomes a sink full of dishes. The splash you didn't wipe becomes a hardened stain. The jacket on the chair becomes the pile that becomes the room that feels chaotic. Clutter and mess are never one big event. They are always 1,000 small postponements, stacked. There's something else happening here too, something almost nobody talks about. A counter wipe the moment it's dirty never has the chance to feel like a mess. There's no accumulation to feel guilty about, no growing pile you keep avoiding looking at, no low hum of unfinished business trailing you through your own home. The space simply stays as it was, and so, quietly, does your mind. The 2-minute rule costs you no dedicated time whatsoever. It's not a block in your schedule. It's a way of moving through your home with your eyes open, and it single-handedly prevents most of the mess that a Saturday exists to clean. Habit 3. The after-cooking reset. 3 minutes, the kitchen is where mess is born. It's the room that goes from clean to chaotic faster than anywhere else in the house, and it's where the Japanese clean as you go instinct does its most important work. Watch someone cook in a Japanese kitchen, and you'll notice something. They're not cooking and then cleaning. The cleaning is woven directly into the cooking. While something simmers, they wipe the counter. While water comes to a boil, they put ingredients away. A prep bowl gets rinsed the second it's empty. By the time the food is ready, the kitchen is already almost clean, because it was never allowed to get dirty in the first place. And then, after the meal, comes the 3-minute reset. Dishes handled immediately, into the dishwasher, or washed right away. Not soaking, not in a bit, stovetop wiped, while it's still slightly warm when grease lifts effortlessly. Counter cleared and wiped. Surfaces returned to empty. 3 minutes. That's the whole thing. Now here's the mechanism that makes this the highest leverage 3 minutes in your entire day. Food mess hardens. This isn't a metaphor. It's chemistry. Sauce on a plate is liquid for 20 minutes, and cement after 2 hours. Grease on a warm stovetop wipes away with a cloth. Grease on a cold stovetop, cooked over again tomorrow, becomes a polymerized layer that resists everything short of a scraper. The 3 minutes you spend immediately after cooking are worth roughly 10 times the same 3 minutes spent tomorrow. In most homes, the kitchen is left in post-meal chaos for hours, sometimes until the next meal. And every hour that passes, the same mess gets measurably harder to remove. You're not saving time by waiting. You're borrowing time at a punishing interest rate. There's a quiet dividend, too. When the kitchen is clean the moment the meal ends, you sit down to eat in peace instead of eating in the shadow of the cleanup waiting for you. The meal ends in calm, not dread. Habit 4. Dry the sink. Here it is. The one I promised you. 90 seconds, almost nobody outside Japan does it, and it is the single reason Japanese kitchens don't smell. The habit is this. At the end of the night, after the last dish is done, you don't just rinse the sink, you dry it, physically dry it, with a dedicated small cloth, the basin, the rim, around the faucet, the drain. 90 seconds, and you go to bed with a completely dry, gleaming sink. I know how absurdly small this sounds. Stay with me, because this is the habit that reveals the entire Japanese approach in miniature. Here's the mechanism. The odor that develops in a kitchen, that faint, sour, indefinable smell you can never quite locate and can never quite eliminate, is overwhelmingly the product of bacteria. And bacteria require one thing above all else to multiply: moisture. A sink left wet overnight is a warm, damp basin holding traces of food residue, which is essentially a laboratory for growing exactly the bacteria that produce that smell. 8 hours of darkness and dampness every single night for years. Dry the sink and you remove the condition the odor requires. Not the odor, the condition. You wake up to a kitchen that smells clean, not because you sprayed something over the smell, but because the smell was never given the chance to be created. There's a bonus too. Standing water leaves mineral deposits and water spots as it evaporates, so a dried sink also stays gleaming instead of slowly dulling with limescale. This is the deepest lesson in this entire video, hidden inside 90 seconds. Notice what the habit is not. It isn't cleaning something dirty. It's removing the conditions under which dirt and odor could ever form. This is the difference between the Japanese approach and everything else. The rest of the world buys products to mask or attack a smell that already exists. Japan spends 90 seconds ensuring the smell never exists at all. Once you understand this one habit, you understand all of them. Prevention isn't a nicer version of cleaning. It's a completely different activity, one that operates before the problem, where a problem costs almost nothing to solve. Habit 5, the evening reset. 5 minutes, the last habit of the day, and the one most people skip entirely, because by evening, the couch is calling. But here's the reframe that makes it survivable, and it matters. This is not cleaning, it's resetting. Cleaning feels like work, resetting feels like closure. It's the period at the end of the day's sentence, and it takes 5 minutes. Reset the living areas. 3 minutes, cushions back where they belong, the throw blanket folded, remote controls together, any cups or glasses carried to the kitchen, any item that lives somewhere else, returned there. 3 minutes, and your living room stops looking like a room that just survived a day and starts looking like a room someone lives in on purpose. Prepare for tomorrow. 2 minutes, coffee maker prepped. Anything you'll need in the morning placed where you'll find it. This isn't cleaning at all, technically, but it contributes enormously to the calm of waking into a home that already has a head start on the day. Add it up, 5 minutes, and here is the return on those 5 minutes, which is genuinely disproportionate. You wake up every single morning to a home that already feels clean, before you've done a single thing, which means your 5-minute morning reset tomorrow isn't fighting an uphill battle. It's a light touch on a home that's already close to zero. Notice what's happening across these habits. They interlock. The evening reset makes the morning reset trivial. The morning reset means the day starts from clean. The 2-minute rule stops the day from drifting. The after-cooking reset stops the kitchen from ever becoming the problem it is in most homes. And the dried sink means you wake to a kitchen that smells like nothing at all. Each habit makes the next one easier. That's not an accident. That's a system. What this actually costs you, the real math. Let's add up the entire system, honestly, because the number is the whole argument. Morning reset, 5 minutes. After cooking reset, 3 minutes. Drying the sink, 90 seconds. Evening reset, 5 minutes. The 2-minute rule, no dedicated time at all. It's woven into moments you're already living through. Total, roughly 15 minutes a day. Spread so thin, across things you're already doing, that you barely register any of it as effort. Now the other side of the ledger. The average person loses hundreds of hours a year to cleaning. The weekly deep clean Saturday, the 4 or 5 hours, the dread that precedes it, the exhaustion that follows, the resentment, the fact that the house looks good for 2 days and then quietly falls apart again. That's roughly 200 hours a year, spent fighting a war that resets every single week. 15 minutes a day is about 90 hours a year, but that's not the real comparison, because those 15 minutes don't just replace the Saturday, they eliminate the conditions that create it. You're not trading 4 hours for 15 minutes. You're trading a permanent, unwinnable, exhausting cycle for a home that simply stays clean without ever requiring a battle. And you're trading dread for peace. That's the part no math captures. The Saturday isn't only 4 hours. It's the guilt all week that precedes it. It's the low hum of a home that's always slightly out of control. It's the mental weight of a task perpetually undone. The 5-minute habits don't just save you time. They give you back a home that isn't quietly asking something of you every time you walk through it. Why your last attempt at this failed? Before we finish, I want to address something honestly, because if you've watched a video like this before, you've probably tried something like this before, and it probably didn't stick. It's worth understanding exactly why, because the reason is almost never what people think. You tried to do all of it at once. This is the most common failure, and it's the most understandable. You watch a video, you feel motivated, and you decide that starting tomorrow you'll do the morning reset, the 2-minute rule, the after cooking reset, the sink and the evening reset. And for 2 or 3 days, you do. And then one busy evening you skip the sink, then a chaotic morning eats the reset, and by the end of the week the whole thing is quietly collapsed, and you conclude that you're the problem. You're not. Adopting 5 new habits simultaneously requires an enormous sustained act of willpower, and willpower is not a renewable resource. It runs out. It always runs out. The system doesn't fail because you're undisciplined. It fails because you asked willpower to do a job that only habit can do. The fix is almost insultingly simple. Take one. Do only that one every day until it stops feeling like a decision and starts feeling automatic, usually a couple of weeks. Then, and only then, add the next. This feels painfully slow. It is also the only approach that has ever worked for anyone. You measured the wrong thing. On day 1 of drying your sink, nothing happens. The kitchen doesn't transform. You feel slightly silly standing there with a cloth. So the brain, which is looking for a reward, files this under pointless and quietly stops. But these habits are not designed to produce a visible result on day 1. They're designed to produce the absence of a problem on day 30. On day 30, your counter hasn't accumulated a week of hardened grease. Your shower has no soap scum. Your kitchen doesn't smell, and you have no idea why, because nothing happened. Which is exactly the point. Prevention is invisible by nature. Its reward is a bad thing that never occurred. If you're waiting for a dramatic before and after, you'll quit long before the payoff arrives. You waited to feel motivated. Motivation is the worst possible foundation for anything you need to do every single day. Motivation arrives when it feels like it and vanishes without warning. The habits above are deliberately designed to be small enough that they don't require motivation at all. 90 seconds does not need to be motivated. It just needs to be done. Don't negotiate with yourself. Don't wait until you feel like it. Just do the 90 seconds, badly if necessary, on the days you don't care at all. The days you do it while feeling nothing are the days the habit is actually being built. And you were probably fighting your own house. Here's the last one, and it's the one nobody mentions. All of these habits get dramatically harder in a home that's full of stuff. Every extra object on a counter is something to wipe around. Every crowded surface is a surface you can't reset in 3 minutes. If you find these routines taking twice as long as they should, the problem often isn't the routine. It's that there's simply too much in the way. Owning a little less is the quiet multiplier that makes every single habit on this list faster and easier, permanently. The one thing that makes it last, there's a final piece, and without it, everything I've just told you eventually collapses. Because here's the honest truth about every system like this. It only works if you actually keep doing it. On the days you're tired, on the weeks you're busy, on the evenings when the couch is calling louder than the sink. And nothing on earth is harder to sustain than a chore you resent. This is where Japan's real advantage lies, and it isn't about technique at all. In Japanese culture, cleaning tends not to be framed as a burden to be endured, but as something closer to care, a small, ongoing act of respect for your space, and by extension, for yourself. There's a long-held sense that the state of your home reflects the state of your inner life, not as a judgment, as a mirror. That reframe is the difference between a routine and a way of living. Wiping the counter in the morning stops being a task you owe someone and becomes a 2-minute message to yourself. This space and the person in it are worth the small effort. Drying the sink at night isn't a chore, it's the closing of the day. Taking your shoes off at the door isn't fussiness, it's the line between the world and your sanctuary. When these small actions feel like care rather than obligation, you keep doing them. Not through gritted teeth willpower, which always eventually runs out, but because they genuinely make you feel good. And that is what makes a clean home permanent instead of temporary. It survives your tired days and your busy weeks because it's no longer a battle you have to win. It's simply how you live, bringing it all together. So let's gather the whole system in one breath. 5 minutes in the morning, make the bed, open a window, wipe the counter and stovetop, swipe the bathroom sink. Your home returns to zero. The 2-minute rule, running quietly all day, anything under 2 minutes handled the moment you see it. The mess never accumulates. 3 minutes after cooking, dishes, stovetop, counter, while everything is still soft and lifts away effortlessly. 90 seconds before bed, dry the sink completely. The conditions for odor never exist. 5 minutes in the evening, reset the living areas, prepare for tomorrow. You wake to a home that's already clean. 15 minutes a day, that's the entire system. And notice what none of it is. Not one of these habits is hard, expensive, or dramatic. None of them requires a product, a tool, or a spare Saturday. Every single one is a small act of prevention, performed at the precise moment when prevention is nearly free. That's the real secret behind why Japanese homes stay effortlessly clean, and it's almost the opposite of what the word cleaning trains us to expect. You will never clean less by cleaning harder. You clean less by spending 5 minutes in the right places at the right moments, so that the mess never gets a foothold at all. The deep clean doesn't get conquered. It becomes unnecessary, because there's never anything accumulated for it to fix. And here's what matters most for actually starting. Don't try to adopt all 5 of these tonight. That's the old model. The dramatic, all-at-once effort that always collapses by Wednesday. Do the thing that actually works instead. Choose one, just one. And I'd suggest the sink. Tonight, after your last dish, take 90 seconds and dry it completely. That's the entire homework. Then tomorrow morning, notice, genuinely notice, what it feels like to walk into a kitchen that smells like nothing at all. That's already clean. That isn't asking anything of you before your day has even started. That single small experience is the seed of the whole system. Everything else grows from it. Because a permanently clean home was never about working harder. It was about 5 quiet minutes spent in the right place, before the mess ever had a chance to begin. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 habits are you starting with tonight? Tell me the number, 1 through 5, down in the comments. And be honest, because naming it out loud is the first real step toward actually doing it. And if this changed the way you think about cleaning, share it with one person who's been dreading a deep clean they've been putting off for months. They might be 5 minutes away from never needing that day again. I'll see you in the next one.